أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You're welcome to the program Our Pledge. In this program, we bring you comprehensive insight into the conditions of initiation into Islam Ahmadiyya. In our previous episode, we discussed the 8th condition which enjoins Ahmadis to hold Islam dearer than their life, children, and property. Today, we shall look at the 9th condition of initiation into Ahmadiyya. We are privileged to be joined by Murabi Abdul Ghaffur Said. He's the head of programming here at the Wahab Adam Studios in Accra. Murabi, you're welcome.
Thank you.
What does the 9th condition of Bai'at says?
The 9th condition of initiation into Islam Ahmadiyya states that he or she shall keep himself or herself occupied in the service of God's creatures for his sake, and shall endeavor towards the beneficence of mankind to the best of his or her God-given abilities and powers. This is the 9th condition of initiation into Islam Ahmadiyyat, as stated by the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, may peace and blessings of Allah be on him.
In the 4th condition of initiation, it talks about not being cruel to other creatures of Allah. What is the link between this 9th one and the 4th one?
From the very beginning of all the conditions, there is a link from the very first one to the last one. Each of them standing in support of the other. Without the other, then the others are going to have, let's say, a loophole for someone to point at.
In other words, they are intertwined.
Yes, they are interwoven, and that makes it stronger. So when you are able to keep all these into practice, then you will become an angel on earth. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ has given these 10 conditions of Bai'at for our betterment.
Our purpose of creation is to service or to worship the Creator. How can we also service His creatures?
Serving the creatures of Allah, serving Allah truly means serving the creatures of Allah. Because we read in one hadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that says that on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to question you and I, who were negligent to some extent with respect to some people who needed help from you and I. That Allah would ask you and I that I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was this, you didn't do this to me. But Allah never needs food. Allah never needs money. But these things are pre-told to you and I to be cautious of how we serve the creation of Allah. So serving Allah and serving His creatures truly means that you can only please Allah by serving diligently and discharging your duties to the creatures of Allah.
Allah tells us that when the call for prayer is made, we should hasten to His remembrance.
Yes.
So if I'm going to the mosque and somebody comes to me asking for the food, can't I go, or ask me for help, can't I go and come later to offer him the help?
You see, everything in Islam, every rule in Islam, it does not object the logical reasoning. It is always in conformity with man, and it is always there to support man. As you are saying, even the Holy Prophet ﷺ even instructed us that at-ta'am qabla salat. If food is ready, take it before you go for salat. Why? Because you are going in front of the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, the Master of Masters. You need not to have a divided attention. So your attention should be straight and focused to Allah who created you, right? Let's take, for example, if you have the opportunity to meet the President of the Republic of Ghana for only 5 minutes, will you be thinking of somebody else? No. Why? Because you believe at this stage that you are, all your problems in Ghana, if not for life only, the rest can be solved by him. So why would you go to the God that have created the president and you, and then you have a divided attention about his worship? Have you seen it? So you must serve those people in need that come to you before you go for Allah, because that will even give you fragrance of sweetness, the fragrance of sweetness to worship your Lord. You see the sweetness of your iman to worship Allah would be so much blooming that you even pray and felt like that is the first day that Allah have turned his mercy unto you. So you have to serve the person and then you go to your salat.
What about if I go and come and serve the person?
There is no harm, but the harm is this, that as you are going, you already have plans in your mind while you are on the salat. As you are on the salat and your mind is not only for Allah, you have divided attention. And that shouldn't be the state of a believer in front of Allah. Just as I gave you the example, the president will be displeased with you that you are standing with him, and then still you have another place to go, like to visit one of his lower ministers. Those people that you left unattended to and you went to pray are the lower ministers as compared. I'm giving you a scenario. So you need not to be in front of Allah and have any other thing that you think is disturbing you that you could have take care of. Just as I told you, the Holy Prophet said that we eat before we go for the salat. We could leave the food and go. But that will send our attention from the salat to the bowl where the food is. Because one, you will be in a hurry to come and eat. Two, your attention will not be in the salat, it will be on the food. So if there is a need, an urgency for you to attend to, please do before you go for your salat. And that is the best service that you can render to Allah and his creatures.
The Promised Messiah in his book, The Philosophy of the Teaching of Islam, talks about 3 types of good. Can that explanation go for serving God for his creatures?
Most definitely. Whatever the Promised Messiah said is always in consonance with the teachings of Holy Quran as well as the teachings of the Holy Prophet. He does not object what they say, and he does not counter what they say, what Allah and his messenger says. Right? If, for example, you have a family, right, that you need to attend to them, that is your God first. You have to take good care of them, that Allah's mercies will start descending on you. But if you are negligent of them, you are negligent of Allah. No matter how much you pray, no matter how much you fast, all are in vain. Do you remember when there was a battle? A man came to offer himself to the Prophet ﷺ that he wants to take part in the battle. And the Prophet ﷺ asked him, "Is your mom alive?" He said, "Yes." "She's aged." Say, "Okay, go back and take care of her. That is your jihad." Why didn't at that time, the Holy Prophet ﷺ needed people. But he told this man to go back and take care of them more. Why? Because that is his first God. That is who he can serve properly for Allah to be pleased with him. That's why I use the word first God. Rest. But it shouldn't be taken out of context. God is always one. I am telling you that to get the favor of Allah, to get Allah to be pleased with you, then you have to be very kind towards his creation. And these things should be done with benevolence. Right? You shouldn't be treating your mom or dad or your neighbors because you want to get reward in return. This is not a teaching. This is not what the condition is saying. It should be done with benevolence. You are doing it and you are not expecting reward, and you are not expecting that another day will come, they will do the same to you. No. You are doing it for the sake of goodness. You are doing it to win the pleasure of Allah. You are doing it to be one of the Ridwanullah. Right? This is what should be your focus. This should be the passion. This should be the force behind you doing the good.
If I'm a rich man in society, can't I take my money to the church or to the mosque to offer sacrifice and give it, or should I give my money to people in the community?
If you are wealthy, remember the wealth that you had is not only for you. If it was because of only you, the wealth will not be as much as that you have. Number one, how much food can you eat a day as a human being? You can see there's a question mark. If you have a lot of cars, but how many cars can you use a day? There's a question mark. If you had a number of clothes, how many can you use a day? You said there's a question mark. So this is to tell you that other people's wealth have been entrusted to you, that you should discharge your duty of circulating and distributing that wealth to the rightful owners. It's not like the way we are doing today, that rich man gives to rich man and rich man gives back to rich man. And leaves those that I need. That is not the teaching of Islam. That is not the teaching of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam. He is the promised Messiah and the Mahdi of this age, and he has come to tell us what the right thing is. It is not what you think is discerning that you do. It is what God has instructed you to do. That is what is good for you and for those who are living close to you. You can decide to send your money to church. You can do that if you have already done the first step. The first step is by taking your relatives. Take good care of your parents, your relatives, friends, and neighbors. If you are able to satisfy this, then you can talk of sending all your wealth to wherever you want to. It could be church, it could be mosque, it could be any place. Then it will be of benefit to you. But you can't leave these people in wallow poverty. You can't leave them in abject poverty. You can't leave them subject to suffering. And then you come to say that you are going to sacrifice in the name of Allah. Allah does not need money. Allah needs what is in your heart. He needs what the purity that we have in our heart in doing whatever we do. So if you neglect the very close blood relations that are close to you, then how can you go and please Allah? Allah already is not pleased with you. So He does not need your money. Because we've never heard that God has taken any money. But even if God will take money, He's not going to take our city. He's not going to take any African money because our money have no value.
Will He take our dollar, our pounds,
not at
our
all.
euros?
He wouldn't. He wouldn't. If God would have needed money, He would have done something that you and I cannot get rich of. Right? But that's not the case here. So God is not interested in this. The motive behind, the reason that pushes you, the reason that motivates you to do that is what Allah is after. Because none of these things reaches God apart from the actions that you and I do.
You talked about a rich man giving the rich man in return. So if I slaughter an animal during Eid, can't I give to my colleague who's also rich so that he also give me in return?
You see, Islam is a religion, as I said, that addresses every issue with the right answer. The animal you're talking about is divided into three: family, friends, and poor. So if your friends are rich, you can share with them. That is for the friendship side. But if you don't give to the poor people, you don't give to your family, and only share with only friends, are you just? No. Are you serving the creation of Allah? No. The benevolence that I'm talking about is not there. You are doing it because after eating my animal, his animal will also come, we also eat. That's why you are doing it, right? But if you are doing it that I'm giving to Mr. A because Mr. A is in need, and Mr. A is not going to repay me, and Mr. A have not got the capability to pay me, but it's my right to take care of Mr. A's needs, then you will see that you are doing it in the right direction, and Allah will be pleased with you.
What is the promised Messiah's explanation for being kind to humanity?
The promised Messiah explanations of one being kind to humanity is He Himself, His life, the life He lived. And the life that He lived was a life that you cannot raise a left finger and point at. Right? He served his neighbors diligently. And he served his family diligently. He gave to whom right is due. Even those that were his opponents never, ever raised an allegation against him that he has mishandled us. He has not been this, he has not been that. No, you can't find that in history. All the objections they are raising have nothing to do with the personal relation and contacts that he had with them. He was a man that was in the model of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The same way the Holy Prophet ﷺ lived among his friends who later became enemies, same way. There were people that everybody aspired to look after. Everybody wished that they become like them. And everybody wished that, and every elder in the community wished that their kids become like them. Right? They themselves, the life they lived were a testimony, and still are testimony for their love and passion for humanity.
Per the explanation you are giving, it seems this condition is not only limited to Muslims or Ahmadis per se.
Not at all. God said, the Prophet ﷺ stated in this condition that with your God-given capabilities and powers, if you have an ability, and the ability is this, that is something that will benefit the community, and you are not discharging that responsibility, you have not been fair to the community. You have to. Because that capability or ability that you have, that power you have, is given to you by the Almighty. This is what you should understand. And you cannot do justice to that power or that capability or that ability without serving the creatures of God. This is what we must understand. If we do not serve the creatures of Allah diligently, then how can we talk of serving Allah himself? As little as a human being, you couldn't serve. You couldn't give his rights to him. When we say serve them, it does not mean they become our idols of worship. That is not what the promised Messiah ﷺ is talking about. Give to them their rights. Discharge your responsibilities towards them. Give to them what is due to them. And do things that will make them feel they belong to the community.
There is this organization owned by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Community, Humanity First. Will you say that whatever they are doing is in service of creatures of Allah?
Humanity First, whatever they do, is in the service of the creatures of Allah. You can talk of the tsunamis, you can talk of fire outbreaks, you can talk of war. They are always there. Where there is no water, they go to provide water. And that water is not only taken by human beings. Bears come there to take. Like, for example, they did some boreholes in Bolga. They did in Sierra Leone, the Gambia, and many other places around Africa. Right? The boreholes they do, if you look at the way they make it, the mechanized boreholes, the water is always available. Animals come to take. We have seen pictures of cows going to take water from there. This is the service of mankind. This is service of the creatures of Allah. They did not do it only for the purpose of people to fetch their homes. They did it for the purpose that everybody, whether you were from the town or a passerby or an animal, you get benefit. Lizards, other things, they take water from there.
So this charity wing of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission was created purposefully to offer services.
As the name suggests, you can even see it's humanity first. Yes. If you are not having humanity in you, if you are not human, you can't have compassion for.
If you don't have fellow feeling.
Yes, fellow feeling must be there. The passion to serve one another. And remember that anything you are doing to your brother, you are not doing only for him. You are doing it, and Allah is going to reward you for that. That is why I said it is a service that must be done with benevolence. Without benevolence, nothing can motivate you to do this. And even in Islam, we are commanded that when we are praying, don't only pray for yourself. Why? Pray for all. When you pray for all, then your prayer becomes weighty in the sight of Allah. then Allah listens to you. Look at the Prophet ﷺ. Allah forgave him his sins, although we cannot pinpoint any one of his sins. But he was the one praying. Why was he praying? He was praying because of you and I. So he should be our mentor. He should be our model. He should be our focus. That yes, this man was forgiven by Allah. Why did he have to pray that his prayer might get soaked? Why did he have to pray that his legs got swollen? It was because of you and I. We didn't see him, but he was worried about you and I. So if he prayed for us, why wouldn't we pray for the rest? Why wouldn't we pray for our brothers? So this is to push you and I to know that we have a duty. And our duty is not only to go to the mosque. Our duty is not only to go to church. Our duty is not only to go to our places of worship. But our duty is to make sure that whatever that you are doing, make sure it is beneficial for mankind. Do not put distress obstacles on their ways. Try to clear these things. To the extent that even the Holy Prophet ﷺ told us that if you see something that is on the road and you clear it off, it's a charity. Why? To encourage you and I to take things that are harmful from roads and paths. This is some of the motivations that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has given to us.
So in other words, you are saying if in your community or in your area that you live, if you see somebody who is poor and the child is in need of education, you should be able to help if you are in the position to help.
Yes, that is exactly what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is doing. Somebody might say, no, if our hands haven't gotten to you, does not mean that we are not doing it. We are doing it, but we have limited resources. With the limited resources that we have, the Khalifa of the time, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, is very concerned about each and every being and every living creature on earth, right? He is very much concerned about all, whether you are Muslim or you are not Muslim. First, your life is what concerns him. He prays for you. He doesn't care that you come to Ahmadiyya mosque. What he cares is that you are the creature of Allah. And whatever that will befalls you, that is going to be a misfortune, is what he's praying against. And more particularly, he have instructed you and I as Ahmadis that we should look for the good of mankind. Why? Because mankind is creation of Allah, and all other living things that live on this earth, we owe them a duty. And the duty is that we take good care of them when we are given the opportunity. So if you have the ability to take care of someone's education and you are negligent of it, on the day of Yawmul Qiyamah, Allah will call you to answer for it. Yes, Allah will call you to answer for it. And you, whether you are prepared or you are not prepared, the Yawmul Qiyamah is a thing that is ordained. And that is a must. So it's better we change. If we don't change, but change will change us. This is what we should understand.
Huzur has been traveling around the world preaching peace. He's been holding symposium, bringing world leaders, kings and queens to talk about peace. Why doesn't he concentrate on his members on this, by he spread it all over?
You see, if you don't understand who the Khalifa is, then you will have these questions. The Khalifa is the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. A perfect example I'm going to give you is this. We are all on this world. Some believe there is God. Some believe there is no God. Some insult God and some praises him. But God did not say, because those who have insulted me, he said, okay, no more F. He closes. No. He doesn't take reactions to that. This is the feeling. This is the way the Khalifa feels for the creation of Allah. He doesn't have time to hate you. Your love for him has saturated his heart, so much so that he is after the safety of mankind, the safety of the world, the safety of the creation of Allah. He is going around the world doing these things because he is the only leader. He is the only leader in the world now that can do that. Because he has no any monetary behind him, that monetary benefit, that he wants to benefit, he wants to get money, that's why he's doing. No, he's not doing it for fame, because it is not for mankind to raise him. It is not for the creatures of Allah to raise him. No, Allah has already raised him. He's not doing it to make a name. No, it's not part. He is doing it in serving the creatures of Allah. He is doing it because he is the only person Allah has given that mantle to lead mankind and to lead all the creatures of Allah into safety. There's no any political gain. No, he is doing it all on the purpose of the worship. Yes.
Before you go, what's your final message to us in serving God and his creatures?
In serving God and his creatures, it is a general rule and principle for all mankind. Man is the first animal that Allah has blessed with the faculty of thinking and distinguishing between right and wrong. And it is the responsibility of man to take care of the other creatures of Allah, because Allah have also entrusted that duty unto us. But the world that we live in today, we are negligent of what even is having right on us. We don't. So before we can do justice to other creations, let's be mindful of the call of the blood that Allah has joined together. As he said in Surah An-Nisa, that he has joined us through blood. So this blood should speak to us that let's be mindful of each other's needs, be mindful of each other's responsibilities, and be mindful of each other's rights. Just as the English proverb says, where your rights ends, other person's rights begins from there. So you have to be careful, and you have to take everybody in perspective when you are doing something, whether it's going to gain mankind or it's going to cause harm. So these should be the guiding principles, as the Khalifa is saying every day in his khutbah. As the Khalifa is going around, as you said, everywhere trying to spread peace and love. If we love each other, all other barriers will be removed.
There will be no more fights.
No fights, no quarrels, but the progress will continue.
There will be no need for weapons of mass destruction.
At all. For now, the world need to follow Islam Ahmadiyyat. And by following Islam Ahmadiyyat, they must try to listen to the Khalifa's sermon. And it is only in this that there is wisdom. And it is only in this that the remedy to the cankers of the world can be solved. Without listening to the Khalifa, you have no any place to go.
And reading his books.
And reading his books. And reading not only his books, the Quran, the Hadith, and whatever lectures that is going. MTA has come to give this opportunity to you and I. Instead of reading, you see it and you listen to it. So this is another way that the Khulafa has been able to solve our problem. So if we do not take benefit from this, you and I will go and stand in front of Allah, and we would have any explanation, because we are all going to be our own witness against our own selves. So this is what I have for anybody that is viewing this program, that let your own soul be a witness to you in whatever you do, and be always mindful that whatever you are doing, expect in return what you are sending out, expect the same in return to your own self, if it befits you.
Well, viewers, this is where time will allow us today. This has been me, Abdul Hamid Amponsa, on the program Our Pledge. We were joined today by Murabi Abdul Gafur Said, the head of programming here at the Wahab Adam Studios in Accra, Ghana. So we meet again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Amantun kabatuahina venkumo, amantun kabatuahina venkumo.